Hey everybody, welcome to Supervisor Tools with BusyBusy. We're excited to present this new tool to you guys, and we thank you guys for jumping on to this today. We're going to keep you here for just about a half an hour. That will not include the Q&A at the end. We'll go ahead and take questions for 10-15 minutes after, and you guys are welcome to jump anytime after or during that Q&A time. But so just a couple of housekeeping things today. This will be recorded, so for any of those that would like to watch this or share this with your coworkers, you'll be getting a recorded version of the app or of the webinar, and actually probably tomorrow, right, Dustin?
Should be tomorrow or later today if we can get it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll get that out to you. We'll also be keeping everybody muted for the duration of the webinar, including the Q&A. So that's mostly to protect the quality of the call, or the audio, that is. And the Q&A will be conducted through the Q&A section. If you'll notice at the bottom of the meeting window, there is a Q&A section there. As you have questions, go ahead and ask them in the Q&A. I'll curate those, and Dustin and I will be answering those at the end of the webinar. So, so just a real brief introduction of me and my co-host Dustin. I am a 15-year construction. I don't know if you'd call it a veteran, but 15 years in the construction industry. Compared to Dustin's dad and some of the other older guys in the industry, I feel like fairly new to the industry, but 15 years in the industry. I've been doing construction tech for the past 8 years. So with that experience, we really enjoy doing these webinars. We enjoy interacting with the construction industry, and this is just our way of contributing to the construction industry. So. Dustin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm a third-generation contractor. Kind of had the same path as Gordon a little bit. We both actually worked at the same general contractor for a while, and then got into the construction tech world, and have been there ever since. It's been quite a ride. We've both traveled the country helping contractors of all shapes and sizes and all experience levels to just know how to adopt technology, to not be scared of it, and just understand how technology can help this lovely industry that we have.
Right. Thank you very much. So just a real quick overview of what we'll talk about today. We're going to talk about Supervisor Tools. BusyBusy initially created a very solid real-time clock in and clock out process, and the associated reporting and tools, administrative tools that go along with that. But it wasn't too long after that we started receiving a lot of requests from our clients to have a way for supervisors and field foremen to out in the field to track time for their employees. And with a lot of thought and a lot of feedback, we were able to come up with a really amazing solution, and it's been received very well, and we're happy to be able to share this with you. But the Supervisor Tools was specifically designed for supervisors. We build everything that we build is mostly mobile first. So just a heads up, this is on the mobile, and it will be, if it comes to the web, it'll come at a later date. And that's mostly just streamlining the app and the processes in a mobile environment first makes for a better experience overall. So, but as a bonus, at the end of this, we'll be covering Kiosk Mode. and I'll have Dustin cover that. But I'll have Dustin go ahead and go through kind of the nuts and bolts of Supervisor Tools right now, and then we'll talk about some of the reporting features and daily sign-offs and whatnot after that. So Dustin, go ahead. How about you go through the app and go from there?
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Gordon. Okay, everybody. So what you're seeing on my screen is the mobile platform that we have. This is just my Android device mirrored onto the screen. Our product, of course, and we realize that there's a mix of people on this webinar that are both current clients looking to improve, and also people that are looking into BusyBusy now. Our app does work on iPhone or Android, tablet, iPad, mobile web. You name it, it'll work on it. This happens to be the Android version that I'm showing you today. Okay. The best way to what you're seeing on the screen there is our real-time clock-in tool for an individual user. That is the first screen that most people see when they open the app. If you are going to go into Supervisor Tool mode, you'll go to the 3 lines up at the top left corner up there, and then you'll notice that there's now an option down there right below Reports for Supervisor Tools. Okay, and if you click on that Supervisor Tools, this is a mode that has been specifically designed for foremen. Okay, there's a couple ways to track time here. Now, one thing that you didn't see here because I've already gone into it, but the first time that your foreman goes into Supervisor Tools mode, it will ask him to pick his crew. Okay, the great thing about we really are like the design of this because the crew is specific to their device. You can still use groups in BusyBusy. You can still, in fact, let me jump over here and I'll just show you real quick what this looks like. But you can still use the groups feature right here. In fact, you can still edit the crew. There we go. Let's manage that crew and show you how you set up. There's still the crew feature, so you can put people in divisions or crews or whatever you need to. But then once they do that, like if I go click on Gordon's crew there, I can then pare it down and pick the people that I want to have or not have on my crew. Okay, so let's save that. But that determines, that is an experience that they will get the first time they open up Supervisor Tools. It will show them how they are, to pick their crew basically. Okay. Now there's a couple modes on the Supervisor Tools that you can use to track time, and this is just made to best fit the needs of your company. Okay. The first mode is real time. That is what you're seeing here, the timer section. With this, you can go up to the top right corner, click on the 3 dots up there, and you can actually do any action in bulk, whether that's clock in, clock out, go on break, end break, switch. Your foreman can do all that in real time. A couple things that you'll notice down there at the bottom, the clock in at and clock out at and the switch at, those are great features specifically designed for foremen in the instance that the 2 stories that we get all the time with this is, the crew got there at 7 a.m., but the foreman had to run and meet the city or had to run to the supply house. He didn't get there till 7:40, right? So he has to have the ability to clock those guys in at, right? That's what that's used for. He got there at 7:40, he can clock everybody in effective 7 a.m. when he knows they all got there. Or same thing at the end of the day with the clock out at. If they got there, everybody left at 3:30, but he was doing paperwork and finishing some stuff off, and it's 4:30, and all of a sudden he realizes he didn't clock everybody out. He can go do that. He can clock them out effective 3:30. Same with the switch at. If they realize they should have switched a task an hour ago and they didn't, switch at lets them do that. Okay, but let's just do the basics here. Let's hit the clock in, and from the clock in, that supervisor then has the ability to, he can select all, or maybe let's uncheck a couple guys and say, maybe Barry and Brett didn't show up to work today. But he can pick that group there and clock them in real time, hit the next button, and then it takes him to the clock in screen for everybody. Okay, and from here, it is just a matter of picking a project. So we'll say maybe he's working on the G-Office development job, and he can put everybody into a cost code. So let's say temporary utilities. So it's just a matter of picking a project in a cost code. The equipment, we like the way the equipment is now done in the Supervisor Tools, because if you do have heavy equipment that you need to track, you can click on that and then individually assign people into that piece of equipment. So we could say Aubrey, she's working on the Bobcat, Brigham, maybe he's using the D8, so you can go through and individually assign crew members to their piece of equipment. Okay, let's do one more here. Maybe say Jason's on the D8T there. Okay, so that is also a possibility when you're doing group clock in, and then that is basically it. You hit save, and it will clock everybody that you've used in that group. It will clock them in and show a live clock right there of how to do it. Okay. The cool thing here, there's a bunch of options. You can do a switch. You can move people to a different cost code. You can move the whole crew, so there's group settings up at the top, or you can go to an individual here. If Aubrey, for example, just left to go to a doctor's appointment and had to leave early, all you have to do is just tap the clock out there, and she's clocked out. Okay. If we are sending Brigham over to another job for the afternoon, or maybe putting him in a different cost code, it's just a matter of hitting the 3 dots to the right of his name there and say, okay, let's actually switch Brigham. Okay. And we'll move him. We're going to have him go prep work for tomorrow. So he's on the same project, but I'm just going to, switch his cost code to another cost code. Okay. So that the base idea here is that the foreman has just some easy to use options to manage that crew throughout the day. Okay, and then also if if it's the end of the day and he needs to clock out, he can clock everybody out. So the idea there is that he has group functions and individual functions all in one simple place to help manage that. Or just one more example here. Let's go back out of this. If he wants to switch and maybe switch 3 guys, let's say Ann, Brian, and David, maybe we want to move them over to another job. They're going to go help out on another project for the afternoon. You can do that, and we'll send them over to California Street. Okay, and pick a cost code for them there, and then once they do that, it'll keep them on the same interface. It'll just switch their time, and you'll notice here again, every individual has their own separate clock that you can see. Their Brigham's running at a minute. Brian's only running at 12 seconds. So that is individual. That's the individual mode. That is how he can do it in real time if your foreman is interested in doing that. The next mode over, I'm going to go down here to the bottom where it says timers, and I'm going to click on the next mode over. That is the entry section. Okay. And the entry section is basically a way to do it at the end of the day. We got the feedback from a lot of our larger clients or clients with larger crews that they just wanted a way for their foreman to be able to easily enter time at the end of the day for their guys. And that's what this entry section is for. If you're doing that, it's just as simple as going here and clicking that blue plus button. Let me just move that down there so you can see a little bit more visible. That blue plus button you see down in the bottom right corner, if you click on that, now you can create a manual time entry for the whole group, or again, let's maybe exclude a couple people that didn't show up. And it's the same basic process, but the thing I want you to notice here, so let's pick a project. We'll do G-Office development again and do a cost code. You can do the same thing. You can assign, individual pieces of equipment as well. So let's do that and pick that. Just pick a couple of pieces of equipment here so you can kind of see what that looks like. And then once that happens, you can of course pick a project and a cost code again. There we go. The great thing about this, if they're doing it manually, there is a default start and end time. You guys can customize that and make that be, whatever you want that time to be, 7 to 3:30 or whatever your working hours are. If they want to add a break, it's just as simple as adding it right there. And then that is the time entry. So it's going to record, we worked on the G-Office development job. There's our cost code. We have our equipment selected, hit save, and there it is. So the time is there. Let's go up here and let's go down here and find that entry. So here's that entry that we just created here for everybody. Okay. We really like this because there are some cool features that you can do once you've even created that entry. If you forgot to add somebody or take them away, you just click the arrow there. And of course you can go here and say, maybe Brett, I accidentally added him and realized that we didn't need to have him on the time. We can save that and edit that, okay? There are also, if we click on the little 3 dots down there at the bottom corner, you can also split this or copy it to the next day. So if they're doing the same thing the next day, you can copy that over to the next day. You can do an edit or delete it altogether. The split function is one that we really like. Let me click on that for a second and just show you what that looks like. This basically will split the entry in two for just such an occasion where maybe your guys spent the morning in one cost code and the afternoon in another. Well, this gives you the opportunity. And by the way, you can, let's just do this real quick. You can make this maybe 3 hours here, and it'll auto tabulate the second entry for you there as well. But basically, you split that, hit save, and now you have 2 entries. So you see the one there from 7 to 10 a.m., and then you'll see the second one here from 10 a.m. to 3:30. Well, now that we've got 2 entries, I can go in here and hit that pencil and edit this and easily change that cost code to be a different cost code if we're splitting our time. Okay. So again, this allows your foreman to just easily create those manual time entries, split them up, cost code it where he needs to, and have his time recorded easily at the end of the day. Okay. The next mode over here, that is the entries mode. The next mode over here is the live totals. So this is another option that we've given your foreman to track time. We have certain companies where maybe they want their employees to track the time, but they want the foreman to have control over that. So this one here shows you the instance where an employee is tracking time on their own device, but the foreman is managing that throughout the day. So basically he has the opportunity here to see everybody on his crew that is clocked in right now. The little clock icon there shows you that they're clocked in right now, and he has the ability to go in and make any edits that he needs to. So if he's looking at Ann and he wants to see what her time is, he can go in there and see what it is and realize, oh, she's got the wrong cost code there. He can go in there and quickly change it. Okay. We designed this for your foreman to check on these at the end of the day, or, in the case as we get toward the end of the day, that he can go in there and see all of his crews and what they've done today, and basically just see the live totals and get a view for what's gone on. And, in this case where we have some overlapping time because we had a real time and the end of day time, we can look at Barry's time and realize that there's some overlapping time there. So let's just delete one of these entries. Okay. So basically just another way for foremen to easily manage time for their crew throughout the day. Okay. So those are the first 3 sections. I'm going to turn it over to Gordon now and let him explain to you the last 2 sections. So the focus of these first 3 sections, the real time, end of day, or real time with employees tracking, the whole point of that is to give your foreman easy tools to be able to see and track time in the way that your company does it. Gordon's going to talk to you a little bit more about how we can get some sign-offs and things like that done as well.
Great, thanks, Dustin. Fantastic tools. So the entering time and kind of those tools that your supervisors will use throughout the day and at the end of the day for entering time are, like Dustin said, those first 3 icons and these last 2 icons. So let's go ahead and click on the daily sign-off icon there, which is that pencil. So these last 2 pages or screens in the supervisor tools are designed to allow your supervisors to view and manage his crew. So that you'll see this is for today, and we can see that we have 11 employees that have not signed or done the daily sign off. And what the daily sign off is, for those that have not used the daily sign off yet, this is a pro feature. So for any of the free users out there, you'll want to take note. The daily sign off, essentially at the end of the day, you can enable 2 questions, up to 2 questions for your employees. The first question is, are you injured, or were you injured? Yes or no. And the second question is your time correct? Perfect. And the first one is ultimately that's a way to document injuries on the job site. the second one, correct time sign off, the benefit to that is if they answer no, it will provide a space for them to tell you why their time is not correct. And then you can pull a report on that, and well, your supervisors can pull reports on those incorrect time sign offs, and they can make adjustments day to day instead of waiting till the end of the pay period to make those adjustments to the time cards. So it's some really great tools. So once the employee, so at the end of the day, ultimately the supervisor in the supervisor tools will be able to review who has not signed or who has not signed off for their day, and he'll either hand his phone or his tablet over to each employee. So Aubrey, in this case, we've handed her the device. She answered the questions, signed her name, and now you can see that it's been signed off. And then you can just go through each employee that way, and that gets you your record keeping that in the form of daily sign off. So we can make I did forget to mention, we can make a note here as to what the injury was, and then from there you've got that documented as well. Okay. And then this disclaimer can be edited and customized to your company, and that's in case you want to add some information about the breaks. Breaks is a common one that we get, but also your company's safety or injury protocols can be reflected in that disclaimer as well, or that notification. But you'll see here, Anne signed off, but she indicated that her time is not correct and that she was injured, and you can see those icons indicate that. So very easy reference tool for your employees, but also, or for your supervisors, but also a very useful documentation feature. Okay, and you can see our totals changed up at the top too. So now onto the time card sign off. So the time card sign off is designed to allow your employees to verify their time at the end of the pay period. You'll notice that that we have a supervisor column there as well, and you can set up a signature for just the employee to sign their time cards, but you can also enable a secondary signature for supervisors to sign the employees' time cards as well, and that's reflecting here as a check mark in each of those columns. So,
and the main difference here, just to be clear, is that the previous screen was for their daily sign off. This is more for your end of pay period, for your end of week or whatever your pay periods are running. This is a secondary signature that you can get if you want them to actually sign off on their time card.
Right. Right. So Dustin, looks like we've got a supervisor signature in there for Dustin. He goes in, you can see that it says it's ready to sign, and it looks like the employee signature's in there, not the supervisor signature. So let's say I'm the supervisor. I can go in and review Dustin's time. I can see that he signed it. I'll go ahead and sign the time card there. And it will, even though maybe there's more than one GT in the company, it will document who signed that time card.
And that you signed it like a 3-year-old would sign it.
That's pretty much yeah, that's pretty much my handwriting.
There you go.
So there we go. Our screen caught up. So so great documentation, and you can see both check marks. So a supervisor can easily come in, review the employees that are part of his crew. And again, these are just the employees that the supervisor has added to his crew, and he can really quickly see who has signed their time cards and who has not.
Yeah, great. And there is one more feature there as well. Let's click on David Hyde here real quick just to show you. Our anticipation here is that the employees would be signing this from the foreman's device. They can review their hours here, see their overtime. If they need to go into any of the specific days like Thursday, they go look and see exactly what their hours were on Thursday. Then they can sign it right from the foreman's device right there. Okay. And the great thing is there's another disclaimer there. So if you need to put a disclaimer in there, you can also put another one in there to help them ensure that their time card is accurate and let them know what they're signing when they say yes. Okay. And then again, so there are several reports here. I think there's a question coming in there, so I'll just answer that about viewing the signature on the info on the signature. It's all there. There is a specific report. In fact, just to show you, outside of Supervisor Tools, there is a separate report here that shows you that the time card sign off right there, time card approval, and it shows you again exactly who has and hasn't signed and who's missing. Okay. So yeah, so that's the basics of our Supervisor Tools. We wanted to give you guys a little bonus of just what we're seeing here. Again, there's numerous ways to track time here. There's numerous ways to get the information. If you need to track materials installed, that can be done through the description field. When you are clocking those guys in or out or editing their time, you can add materials in. So like on my time, if I was going to add a note here, I can go and look at my screen and add a description for that time and add notes in there that tell you what the quantities installed were. Another question that we had come in that I'll answer really quickly. What if they're running equipment but not the same piece the entire time? That's totally understandable. That happens. If that's the case, when you're let's say here, let's run a switch here. If you want to document that they're not running the equipment for the second half of the day, you can run a switch and then take off the piece of equipment. Okay, so there is the ability to do that, and to do that in real time, or at the end of the day, you can remove the equipment and then just hit switch and start their time running there. Okay, need to find somebody that we clocked in on equipment. Brigham, let's find Brigham here. Okay, so Brigham. So if Brigham is, now he's off of the D8, you just X that out there. It'll remove that from his time in real time and start clocking his time separate without that piece of equipment. And the same thing happens over here on the time entries. You can go into the individual employees and take off the equipment for half of the day or anything like that. Okay. The last thing we want to show you is a little bit of a bonus. The main point of this webinar is the Supervisor Tools, but we do also have a mode here that we feel like a lot of crews will enjoy, and it's brand new to us that we want to show you, and that is the Kiosk Mode. Okay, this is another way of tracking time for crews, but we anticipate this being more not from the foreman's device, but more from like a centralized tablet, or even the foreman's device if you want it to be done at an individual level. Okay, it basically turns into a kiosk, and this is kind of cool. We're really excited about this because basically now it's a kiosk. There's no other modes on the phone right now. There's nothing else that anybody can do, but they can go in here. If you leave it here, the employees can go and pick their name. Okay, let's go find my name real quick. There's me. And it'll assign them a PIN that you guys can give them, or they can set up themselves. But then in this mode, the employees can clock themselves in or out from the kiosk using their PIN, and let me clock myself out here just to show you what this does. If I hit clock out, it will ask me again to answer those questions. Were you injured? No. Is your time correct? Yes. But then it'll also, and this is kind of cool, we've built some AI into this, it will snap a picture of them. So let's see there's me. See there. And then, there we go.
That's nice.
Isn't that such a good picture? So it'll take a picture, and then we're very proud of this because we've built some AI into this where there's actually a report that will notify you guys. Let me go back into this. It will actually notify you guys if it thinks that it's not the same person. Okay, so it'll produce a report that shows you you know, in this case, it's Gordon. It'll give you a percentage of whether it thinks it's the same person or not, and it'll match it up. And if it doesn't think that they're the same, or if it's pretty close, like in this case, it's 84% close, it'll flag you guys to take a look at it and compare the photo taken versus the one that was actually, you know, from their profile picture to the one that was actually taken on the screen. So there's the one I just took, my beautiful face there. And, and it shows you, it believes it's a 94% match. So it'll produce a report every day. If you want to use the kiosk mode for your guys to individually clock in and out from that central device, whether it's a foreman's phone or a tablet in the job site trailer in the warehouse or shop or anything like that, it's just another way to track time in BusyBusy. Okay, yeah, and that's the majority of it. Let's go over our questions real quick. I know we're right at our half-hour mark, so we'll be quick on our questions. First question here: is kiosk mode included in our subscription? Kiosk mode is included in the pro package of BusyBusy. So if you are on the pro version, kiosk mode is absolutely included. And our second question here: at the end of the week, how do you adjust your crew's time card and make all their time the same? That is a very easy thing to do in the Supervisor Tools. The foreman, because they have all of these, let me exit the kiosk here. Exit that and go back to the Supervisor Tools. The foreman has the ability on this pay period screen here, he has the ability to review that. If he needs to make any mass changes, he can do that. He can do it one-on-one by reviewing guys' time cards, or if he needs to change them in mass, he can actually, there's actually a report over here in the report section where he can look at his activity report for his project and make changes in bulk. So let's go to last week real quick here. And let's go to the G-Office development job. And once I'm here, I'm going to click up at the top right corner just so that you guys can see there's a time card analysis. And if I click down at the bottom and click the details, this now creates a mode where a foreman, whether he's viewing it on a weekly basis or a daily basis, he can go here and edit multiple entries. That's the thing I want you to see there. So if he was looking at this, in fact, let's just set this up properly. Let's change this to daily, okay? And because that's most likely how we've seen our foreman do it, okay? If he needs to make a change here, add a break, do anything like that, he can click on the details down at the bottom and then click on the edit multiple entries, and then he will then have the ability to, once that loads, he'll have the ability to change any of those time cards in bulk. So if he forgot to add a break for everybody, he can do that, you know. If he needs to do it for a week ago. He also has the ability, let's just go back here real quick, he also has the ability within the Supervisor Tools to mass edit any of the entries. So if he's got, you know, bulk entries here in the entries, you'll notice it starts with today, but if he needs to go look at all the entries yesterday and make any changes to the time there, he has the ability to do it there too. So if that's his crew for the day, he can go click on that pencil and make some changes there. Okay. A couple other questions here. Can a supervisor have more than one crew? The crews are flexible, so they can, when they set that up, they can absolutely put as many people as they want in there. You can restrict them, just so you know. So if you need to restrict them to pick only from certain divisions, yes, you can absolutely do that and let them just pick their crew and manage it that way. A couple of other questions coming in here.
So yeah, I'll answer the next one from Tony. So the question is, you know, we don't want our foreman to be allowed to edit the time or use the clock in at and clock out at tools. That's understandable, and we've created that flexibility in the app. That's still based on the permissions of the position, so that will not change their visibility or their permissions in the app. So just when you're reviewing that position, make sure you go into the positions section in the company settings and review those permissions, and they won't be able to do anything in the supervisor tools that does not give them, or that's not given them in the position settings.
Yeah, so if you don't want them to be able to use the clock in or out, you'll want to manage their ability to edit time entries. Basically, we'll take that away.
Right.
And then one question here from Jeremy. When the supervisor is selecting his crews, I noticed that all our employees are listed, even past employees. Are we able to adjust this? Yes. Yeah. In fact, let me. The best way to do that is, in fact, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, my phone, and I'm going to share my desktop, because that'll be the easiest place to see that. Okay, the best way to do that, to manage that employees, you'll have to do it by managing the who's active and who's not. You know, you can go in here and archive on the web version. If you go up to the 3 dots at the corner and archive, you can go in here and decide who does and doesn't, you know, isn't on the active employees list. So let's just archive a couple of these guys here. Okay, and then that will now remove them from the active employees list, and it will not allow the foreman to pick them. Okay, a couple of other suggestions here. You can create groups. Okay, if you want them to even have less employees to have access to, you can create a crew. Okay, so if we want, you know, Gordon's crew there and only be able to see that, you can also pare it down there. And then, and this is a little bit more of an advanced setting on the company settings, if you go to the positions tab, and let's take your foreman. If this foreman is in Gordon's crew and you check this box here, limit permission to employee groups, that will only show them the employees that are now in their crew, basically, on those groups that we created earlier. Okay, hope that helps. And one more question here. Oh, actually, we have a couple more coming in. These are great questions. Right. Thank you very much. We love these.
This is the best. Honestly, we think this is one of the most valuable parts of these webinars. I mean, it's great that we get to share the content with you, but having the questions and giving you guys a chance to ask questions is really helpful.
Yeah, and then one other one here is the edit multiple entries or mass edit available on desktop or web version. It's only on mobile for now. It's something that we are putting on to the web version eventually. It will be there. And then lastly, there where your supervisor only be able to see their crew. That's a permission setting. So if you want them to be able to limit that down to only be able to see their crew, you can limit that down. If you want them to have the ability to see more and to do more, it's all done here in the position settings that we put on here. This box right here that I'm showing you here. Sorry, let me get the questions out of the way. That box right there, the limit it to the employee groups. That is the one that shows them, that limits them to their groups, if that's what you want to do. Okay. Well, everybody, we sure appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. If there are other questions, please feel free to just hit us up. Respond to the email, the webinar email. Use our support channel here. You know, we do, of course, value that and want you to ask questions there as much as you can.
Did you answer the question about the mass edit on desktop?
Yeah, it's only available on mobile today.
Okay.
To be added to desktop at some point, yes.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for your time. Please let us know. Happy time tracking, and please let us know how we can help you in the future.
Thank you for your time, guys.